Good deal. Well, welcome everybody. It's exciting to have you here on our Monday night revenue share training. If you're just joining us, make sure you mute your lines. We'd appreciate that as you're coming on. My name is Eric Golden. I'll be sort of emceeing and hosting tonight. I've got a little bit of a speaking duty, but I've got 4 other partners that we sort of run this Monday night training together. I sort of spearhead it, but often they're often there as the host. They're always there to add comments and thoughts. We use these Monday nights, as Sean said before, so iron can sharpen iron. For those of us that are interested in the rev share portion and the income generated because of attracting other agents to the brokerage we love called EXP. I want to start tonight with just a quick introduction of the leader of our organization. His name is Sean Sturrock. I've known Sean for practically over 10 years now. We've been blessed to be partners in this project for the last 2.5. Sean, real quickly, just do a quick welcome, if you will, and tell them your story, and then we'll roll into our training.
Sounds wonderful. A few more people have jumped on. So yeah, you guys, I feel very fortunate and blessed. I just feel like we're all business partners. And I'll just give you a background of how I even got into real estate and what took place here. Matter of fact, that'll be a little segment I'll elaborate on, but I'll just be very upfront and honest. I wasn't in a real good place about 6 months prior to me finding EXP. I was in another business that was kind of tanking, and I was sort of open-minded, and I kept looking for different industries, guys. And God bless that God just kept steering me to the world of real estate. Everybody, if you are listening in, please.
I got it. I'll jump on them.
Okay. And I just want to say this: when I found myself in that pretty tough scenario, I kept telling my wife, I got to diversify. I only had one income stream coming in, and that company was slowly spiraling out of control. And I began to look around, and God kept steering me to the world of real estate. So I pulled the trigger and said, all right, I'm going to get a real estate license. With the idea that if I could sell 5 or 6 properties a year, I could supplement my income maybe by 40 to 50,000 and diversify. Well, I interviewed about 6 brokers here in Dallas. The last one I saw 3 weeks before taking my test is EXP. And when I saw it, guys, my jaw hit the ground. Even though I wasn't a real estate agent, I knew enough about it and had about a dozen agent friends to realize what I just saw, I felt in my heart would change the entire real estate industry. So as soon as I did, I got started, got my real estate license plugged in, went about what I was trying to accomplish, which was to sell 5 or 6 houses a year. I had 5 transactions my first year, but I was so blown away by the model that it could pay you 3 different ways instead of just one. And we could help people create a retirement income and a potential passive income. I remember saying to my sponsor, Rob Flick, when I understood it, I went, why in the world would every agent not eventually be here? And he kind of laughed and said, Sean, one day we think they will. Guys, I joined when there was about 4,000 agents. Today, there's over 40,000. And I'll just kind of leave it at that and tell you it's been so life-changing. And I feel so blessed because there's a lot of you on here right now that have completely changed my life. And it's so interesting how this will begin with just one agent who just tells one agent. I'm gonna kind of stop it there because each of us got a segment we're gonna go through that I hope is gonna help each one of you and inspire you to possibly make this part of your 2021 this year. So I'll kind of stop right there. And again, thank you guys for your time.
1 second, people. I will be with you in 1 second. I'm going to be the one emceeing tonight, but someone just asked me for the link, so I'm sending it to them right now. Again, what we're going to do tonight is go through a very unique type of scenario for what we normally do. Let me first explain what we normally do in these presentations. For those of us that are interested, and by the way, I've made all of our co-hosts, so you guys can keep an eye on muting people if you'll keep that open.
Not one in there?
Or come on, make sure you mute them. Normally what we do is people that are active within RevShare, they're interested in attracting other agents. They try throughout the week and periodically they'll call someone to assist them, ask questions of. But we always do a forum like this every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, always in the same Zoom link. And what people do is bring their questions to us. Hey, this happened, what do I do? I've got this person to talk to, what do I say? What video do I use? I want to send something. I haven't talked to someone for about 3 months. What do I send first? It's those kind of questions that causes people to hesitate. Okay, and understand this, a mind that is in question is frozen. you're not going to do anything if you have questions about what you're supposed to do. Because the one thing as real estate professionals, we don't want to look as foolish. And the problem is, as you begin to attract others to EXP, most people think they need to know everything about EXP so they don't look foolish. But that's not the way we would like you to think about it. You could start day one, no matter what your credibility in the marketplace, whether you're a brand new licensee or you did 100 million over the last 3 years, you should be able to begin attracting people from day one, the moment you decide you want to. So tonight, what we're going to do, rather than go Q&A with everybody, is each of the 4 or 5 leaders from the group that we've put together within Sean's group, we're going to go through and give you a bit of a piece of the way we think about RevShare. And then we're going to talk a little bit, each of us, about what we want to motivate you or inspire you to do as a first step or second step. We are going to record this. It's being recorded. We always post this in Workplace and what's called the Leaders in Real Estate group. Now, someone else will cover that in just a minute, but I want you to understand that if you just reach out to your leader, whoever that is, and ask them to add you to the Leaders in Real Estate group, again, someone else will cover that, we'll make sure we add you. And this kind of thing is recorded and posted every Monday night or Tuesday morning. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. It won't be a Q&A tonight. It's just going to be a real good experience, we hope, for those of you that joined EXP thinking, I really would like to build a passive income if I could figure out a way to do it. And so that's what we're going to talk about. How to slide in to building a revenue share group. Not necessarily needing to make it a major piece of what you do daily, but we want you to understand one of the reasons you came to EXP, if it was for passive income, we don't want you to miss the opportunity. So today we're going to, I say this respectfully, we're going to dumb down the process. We're not dumb people, but when we are overloaded, we don't want to add more to our brains. So we're going to make it really simple tonight. We're going to give you a couple of basic things that we think if you'll start doing these things, then all of a sudden passive income will become a bigger reality to you. You'll believe more in your ability to do what others in this organization are already doing. Lifestyle changing through passive income, doubling, tripling, quadrupling their income by talking to agents about EXP. So let me start with this. By the way, I'm going to use a PowerPoint. So periodically I will share screen. Please stay with me. Here we go. Share screen. Boom. Wrong screen to share. Let's do it right the first time. Okay. 1 second. That's a better one. Here we go. So what we're going to talk tonight at Rockstar RevShare event. We do it every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central. Here's the first thing to know. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And my subject tonight is the concept of what do I do? How do we attract agents? What is the format to do that? My partners will cover the mindset behind it, the activities behind it. But I want to give you right up front just a case in point of exactly what we do so I can demystify the concept of how do I get to $2,000 a month or $10,000 a month or $50,000 a month. You're going to do it through the same 4 things. These are the 4 things we do. It's the basics to our attraction process. We make a list of agents. And when we make a list, we make a big one. By the way, if you came tonight hoping to get some information on how to build RevShare, the first thing I want to do is do the easiest part. The easiest part is to teach you what to do. Getting yourself ready mentally to do it is a whole different story. When I saw this opportunity about 3 years ago, understand, I had 30 plus years doing real estate things. And I had about 30 plus years recruiting people and teaching them how to recruit others. So when I saw EXP, it was the best of both worlds. It matched what I've been doing for 30 years in business, real estate, to what I've been doing in 30 years in business, recruiting and training. So what typically happens is people, when they listen to someone like me, they go, oh, sure, you can do it. You had experience. But I need you to lay that down for a moment. And you need to ask yourself, can you make a list of agents? Can you make a big one? Can you invite them through a conversation to set an appointment to look at EXP? Can you present to them by inviting them to a live presentation, a Zoom that someone else is doing, a Zoom that you're doing where you literally just push the button to play a video, or send them a video? Understand how simple that is. Just get them in front of the information. And then the last part of it is personalizing it to their needs and their volume. Now understand, when you personalize it, hold on, we've got someone that's unmuted again. When you do personalize it, you probably don't have the background to be able to answer questions, handle objections. But the first three things in this list is the basic heavy lifting. Make a list, invite them to look, get them in front of a presentation, and in most cases, someone else will do the presentation and then personalize it for them. And after they've been through that process, all you do is drip and drip and drip. And some of you may ask the question, what am I going to drip? If I wanted to drip something, what would I drip? Here's an example of something you could drip. In other words, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after they've seen the program, and you're still sort of dialoguing with them, but they're putting it on hold for the moment. You want to send them something that makes them go, wow. Because remember, they don't want to miss this. So here's an example. Here's a link. It came out today through through email. It was in Workplace. It was about Glenn Sanford, and here's what it was. 1 second. There we go.
I jumped at the opportunity. I'm like, going, I couldn't even believe it. It's like the house that never ever hits the market.
Asking questions to my boss.
Hi, my name's Glenn Sanford, and I'm the new CEO of Success Enterprises.
So what I want you to understand in this process is you can send things out that does the heavy lifting for you. These are the basic steps, ladies and gentlemen. It really is as straightforward as making a list, inviting them to look, presenting the opportunity, and personalizing it. With that said, let me stop sharing the screen. What we're going to do next is go to, in essence, our next speaker. But I needed to get that piece out of the way. Now, what typically happens in a speech like this is when you come into it, it's the first person's job to get you all excited, to sit there and get you to want to do whatever we teach you to do. I decided to flip it on you today, and here's why. I need everyone to understand two things as we go through the rest of this training tonight. Here's number one. Our message at EXP is too good for people to pass it by. In other words, if you can get them in front of the message, the majority of people, once they see it, just like you, they can't unsee it. So the real difficulty is getting them in front of it. And that really has to do with you deciding that you know enough information to ask them if they're open to look. Again, we're not going to go through the detail of that today. We'll talk about that in a few. But I want you to understand, our job is not to sponsor people. It's not to attract them into the company. It's not even to present the opportunity. It's to ask them if they're open-minded enough to look. So that's what I want you to walk away with from my section tonight. Can you learn to have a conversation with an agent? Whether it's an agent you're doing a transaction with, someone you did a transaction with, someone that was referred to you, or someone on a billboard. It doesn't matter. Can you learn how to have a conversation that ends something like this? Would you be open to taking a look? Now, what goes on from the minute you call them to that line is the conversation. And over time, you'll learn how to have that conversation. Tonight, you'll learn a little bit more. Let me go ahead to the next speaker real quickly. Let me go back to sharing screen. And so if that's the four things we do, let's go to the next piece. Here's what we're going to cover tonight. So some people want framework. Jeff Morrell is going to talk about plugging in to associate. It's more than just collaborating with other agents. It's about getting around the fire. Sean Sturrock's going to talk about why agents don't attract when they want to. Kathy Carter's going to turn around after that and talk about riding the emotional roller coaster, because people can be crazy. And then Tim's going to take it home, talking about making attraction part of your business plan. First speaker tonight is going to be Jeff Morrell. Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you. Understand every piece of the puzzle is important, and everybody realize this: you're a piece of the puzzle. Jeff, give them a little bit about your background, if you will, and take it away.
Cool, I will do that. Thanks, Eric. So yeah, guys, I've been a realtor for 19 years this year. Been here at EXP for 3 years next month. So my wife and I, we hit Icon last year. We've done really well. Sean is the one that shared it with me. I've known Sean for about 8 or 9 years now as well, kind of like Eric. And I'm excited about this piece of it. You know, I put a post on Facebook the other day. I was kind of figuring out all our numbers for the year end. You know, we had 48 closings of our own, you know, my wife and I. We got paid on 354 closings, which, you know, 306 of those came from the revenue share. And that's huge for people. I know there's people on here, guys, you know, we've got a big crowd tonight. I know there's some of you that are brand new to EXP, welcome aboard. I know there's some of you that maybe you reached out to some agents your first month or two here. It didn't go the way you wanted, or they didn't join right away or whatever, and you got back into total 100% real estate and kind of put this on the back burner and, well, maybe someday I'll do it kind of thing. Some of you are on here, you want to do it, but there's just that fear. I just don't know how to do it. Guys, here's one of the things that what I wanted to hit with this tonight. First of all, stay around the campfire. You know, you think about a campfire, like, look at that fire in that picture. I mean, all the logs are there. If you take one of those logs and you take it out of the fire and you set it over here on the side, what happens? In just a matter of minutes, I mean, it goes out. It's just smoking. It goes away. You put it all together and you get this roaring, blazing fire. And I think that's important here to stay plugged into this, okay? So there's several different ways to get really good training on agent attraction. The first thing I want to hit is every Monday, okay? And you can find this in Workplace, okay? The North American Leadership Series, Brent Gove does a training every Monday. You can see the time right there, 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, 12:30 where I'm at in Colorado, 11:30 Pacific time. It's usually about 30 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, but about 30 minutes long. It's in EXP World, okay? If you go in there and click on the meeting rooms tab up there in the top left, go to the red hall and you can jump in this meeting. It's every single Monday. Here's what I would tell you guys to do. Like, I've got it just plugged into my phone. It's on my schedule every Monday. And there's an alarm that goes off every Monday at 12:25 my time to remind me to go in there. Now, if I can't get in there live, it is recorded, okay? You can find the recordings of this, and you can go back for the last year. There's probably 50 some recordings in there, seriously, in EXP, the water cooler chat, and that's in Workplace. That's where you'll find those recordings, okay? So that's the first thing, to be around that. He will interview one of the top guys, usually on his team, and he's got a team of over 9,000 now. He will interview one of his top guys and ask them, you know, their story and revenue share and how it's working and what they're doing that worked, what they did at first that didn't work, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's just gold. I'm telling you guys, you want to get plugged in to those and listen to those recordings. Go back and start that tonight if you want to, okay? Eric mentioned this. We do this every Monday night, okay? We always post it in the Leaders in Real Estate group. Again, if you're not part of that, you know, ask your, you know, whoever's above you, whoever sponsored you, ask them to get you plugged into that group. Every Monday night, it's the same Zoom ID and the start time. We always record these as well. You'll find these recordings going back for the last, I don't know how many months now, in the Leaders in Real Estate group, okay? There was one, I don't know, Eric, was about probably a month ago, 6 weeks ago, Rob Flick was in here. You know, become a special guest. He was in here, he talked for 30 minutes. You know, Rob's #1 in the entire company right now in terms of revenue share. And I'm telling you, that was a great night. And that recording is available. You can find it in there in the Leaders in Real Estate group, okay? There's also this, when you go into Workplace, if you go in and search this group, this is just a screenshot up here in the top left. If you just do a search, 2 in 20, okay? There's this group, they'll probably change the name because we're now in 21. The whole idea of this was to bring in basically 2 referrals into EXP in 2020. That was this group, okay? So, you know, 4,200 members in here. Every Wednesday, Sam Rodriguez does a training. It's in that group, okay? So they posted this the other day. Here's the schedule. It's every Wednesday. You can see the time, 12 noon Eastern, 11 Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, 9 a.m. Pacific. It's in EXP World in the auditorium. They also do it live in Workplace in that 2 and 20 group. Now, because it's in that live in the 2 and 20 group, it's also recorded in there as well. So again, I was in there today, searching back through. There's just dozens and dozens of these recordings. Again, this is Sam, who's the head of national growth here, whatever, interviewing one of the top agent attractors, their story, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, all that kind of stuff. Guys, here's what this does. And I know for me, let me say this too, in the Leaders in Real Estate group, okay, I put a screenshot of this. When you go into this group, if you click on files right here, if you scroll down this, and this is just a screenshot, so I can't scroll down, but there are tons of just, guidelines and scripts and how to handle objections, just all kinds of stuff and tools in here as well. Okay. So just so you know, that's there. Here's what I want to hit. Guys, just be plugged in, because you're going to have good weeks. You're going to have challenging weeks. You're going to have, people that you get on with that, you ask them if they'd be open to looking at EXP, and they're like, yeah, sure, I'd take a look. You'll get some, I'm telling you, sometimes it's that easy. There are some that, well, I don't know about this or that, whatever. And, some of them might even just every now and then, 1 out of probably 20 for me, maybe even less than that. They're almost like, what do you want? That kind of thing. I mean, honestly, for me, I'm done. I don't even need to deal with that person, never mind. I hang up personally. I get off the phone. But you'll have some of those, and you'll have some of those days where, man, you'll make, 10 calls, and you might set up 5 appointments, 5 Zooms or coffee meetings or whatever. You might make 10 calls and you'll get 0. You're going to have days like that. And being plugged in, listening to those recordings, being around the campfire, getting on here every Monday night, that's what keeps you going. I'm just telling you, for me, that's been a game changer for me in the motivation of getting it going. And again, it pays off. I'm just telling you, anybody from the brand new agent on here to the one who, again, did it, got discouraged, unplugged from it, the one who just doesn't think they can do it. I'm telling you, you can do it. Listening to those trainings, being on here on Monday nights is huge. There's tons of recordings on there. You can't fill your head enough with that stuff. So that's the main thing I wanted to hit tonight, is just plugging in, being around it. Because when you get away from it, the fire goes out. And it's like that for everybody, me included. Okay. So anyway, that's what I got. If anybody wants to add anything, Sean, Eric, and you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to you, Jeff. Actually, you mentioned something, because people, again, everybody's on this saying, well, what do you say? How do you say it? Understand, people, until you clearly understand that it's safe to start asking people to look, until you find out from people like Jeff and Kathy and myself that we are still living after asking a whole bunch of people, and some of them weren't pleasant, but most of them really are. What to say is the least of your concern once you decide, I'm going to go say it. So Jeff, let's repeat this. On a given week, when you're doing calls, how many calls would you make in a given week? New calls, new agents.
To be honest, I mean, for me right now, probably I'm between probably 50 and 60 a week.
Okay. So in essence, you're making somewhere between 8 and 10 calls a day, or 50 to 60 in 1 3-hour block. Of the 50 or 60, how many, let's say it's 50, how many nasty people do you connect with out of 50?
I mean, honestly, 1 or 2, maybe.
And would you think that if it ends up more than 1 or 2, it may not have to do with who you're calling, it may have to do with you?
It's
in other words, if you end up with more than 1 or 2 nasty people, it's probably you on the way out.
Maybe it's me. Yeah. If it's more than that, it's probably me, something I'm doing.
What I want everybody to understand is the number one reason people don't make calls is they don't know what to say. But the reason you should make calls is because you know what you're supposed to do, and that's to try to set an appointment for them to look. We'll get you what to say later. Let me give you the other statistic. I told you originally before, and Jeff, it goes to have to do with what you're talking about. 95% of our agents at EXP, they do not get involved in order to attract other agents. But right. The 5% that do drive 2,500 new agents a month. That's what we're up to right now. So I want everybody to understand something. Somebody's pushing these agents to look. We've grown 36,000 agents in 2.5 years. You can write this down. We're going to go from 42,000 agents at the end of this year to 73,000 at the end of next year. We're going to add 30,000, 31,000 agents in North America. The question is, how many of them you're going to grab. So the idea behind the fire is we've got to get around those 5%ers. If you're going to be part of the revenue share concept, if you want to make it part of your day, part of your income stream, part of your exit strategy, you have to be around the people that are doing it, not the people that are just in EXP. Because the ones that are in EXP are here for the transaction experience, even though they like the attraction side. If you're going to start attracting agents consistently, where it can be life-changing money, big money, you need to dive in to this side of the equation. But if you just want to start building $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 a month income, you don't have to dive in anywhere. But once you get your foot in the pool, you can't get out of it. And that's why Monday night, Monday day, Wednesday day, just plug into at least one of those a week, just so you stay warm. And I will say this, no matter how many times they're recorded, it's always going to be better live. Sean, Kathy, Tim, anything to add? Or are we good to move on?
Good job.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, appreciate your help on that. Let me go back to share screen. And so I'm assuming you can see the single slide, right? Or are you on double?
Nope, single.
Good deal. So Jeff did a great job plugging in. Next is my buddy Sean Surik. He's going to talk about why agents don't attract when they want to. And this little, I don't know, GIF or meme or whatever the heck it is, video snippet reminded me of the way you feel when you see an agent, you want to go talk to them, and then, uh-oh. To remind you all, and it feels like that, I promise. So Sean, take it away.
All right. So why do agents not recruit when they really want to? And instead of trying to take notes, you guys, I'll put this information back onto Workplace on the Leaders in Real Estate when we're done here. So don't worry about taking notes. I'm just going to go through a list that I put together in my mind of reasons why I think people, again, want to recruit, but they just don't do it. So let's start with number one. They don't have enough contacts. You haven't made a big enough list, and this should be an ongoing list, and we can teach you exactly how to do that, right? When you start coming to our calls, we'll walk you through what we're doing and how you can create a list, and a very big list very quickly. Number two, you're not sure what to say. Well, like Jeff just said, we now have 3 revenue share trainings every single week that teach you how to attract. Plus, we got scripts and videos and recorded webinar presentations. If you'll just commit to increasing your skill set, kind of like Eric just said, at least one of these every week and staying close to the campfire, you're going to start to attract and grow a big team. Number 3, you might be thinking you don't have enough time. Who controls your calendar? You do. Listen, you need to block out time on your calendar, in my opinion, and a lot of us leaders have gotten together, at least 30 minutes a day. Think about this. For 7.5 hours a day, go sell real estate, but treat that 30-minute time slot like it's $1 million or multi-million-dollar listing. One capping agent you bring on, it's $2,800 a year. What I've been hearing from Brent Gove and those guys is they said a capping agent will usually stay at a brokerage at least 10 years. Well, that one agent, 10 years later, has paid you $28,000 in passive residual income. That's not even taken into consideration if they go attract agents. So it is definitely worth your time to take the 30 minutes to make the calls. Number 4, don't like the thought of rejection. We're going to teach you how to handle objections and or rejection. We're looking for agents who are looking for us. I don't know if you ever heard of this, but you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. I think Jeff and Eric both alluded to it a second ago. Sometimes you just pick up the phone and ask someone to look, and they're like, yeah. It's crazy you even called. I was just thinking about, man, there's got to be some other brokerage that's better than where I'm at now. Who knows what could be going through their mind? Number 5, tried it for a while and had very little success, or maybe you had no success. I'm going to tell you right now, that is almost always because you're inconsistent with your calls. So it's as if you're starting over every single time you make a call. If you try to do this once a week, once every 2 weeks, I'm going to try and make a couple calls. Oh my gosh, there is no I would be lost. I've got to try to do it every day, even if it's just 1 or 2 calls. I need to keep those dialogues going so it stays fresh on my mind and I continue to get better. Number 6, comfortable versus uncomfortable. We're going to help you make uncomfortable your best friend. And the best way to be more comfortable is to make it a daily habit. And so there's, back in that 2x20 that he just showed, Jeff, there's also people talking about two calls a day is 10 calls a week is 40 calls a month. Guys, if you did just that, that's 480 contacts a year. Let's just say only 1 in 5 see a complete presentation. That when I say complete, I mean presentations over, Q&A, stories, cast some vision, and do a 3-way call. And all of us leaders, we're going to be here to even help you with these Zoom meetings. But those 1 in 5 out of 480, that comes down to 96 presentations you would do in 1 year. I'm going very conservative. If only 1 in 6 that saw the whole presentation joined, you'll end the year this year with 16 frontline agents, which would open up 4 levels. And I'm about to tell you what that would mean to you financially in just a minute. But I want to say this right now. All of the above I just went through, everything can be resolved if you will come up with a big enough why. Why are you about to start implementing revenue share into this real estate business of yours? And when I post this information, there's a short video out on Google by a guy by the name of Simon Sinek called Why. If you just do Simon Sinek Why, don't look it up now. Afterwards, when I post it, it's a 15-minute video and he will help you dig into why you want to do anything. Anything you're going to achieve in life, there needs to be a strong desire and a strong why. I'm going to give you my story just because I want to lay it out there being just very transparent. Twice in my life, I have been in massive debt. And when it happened to me the second time, which is right before I found EXP, I'm going to tell you, I get emotional. The pain was so bad. It was embarrassing. It really was embarrassing to me. I felt like I was drowning in debt. And when I saw EXP, I made a decision. I will never, ever experience this again. And I went after it with everything that I got. And the thing blew up and I've been very, very blessed. Now I want to pay it forward. And thank God I did this because life, I'm telling you, is completely different right now. I'm going to give you 2 quick examples of what's already happened. 2 years ago, this past November, my son, we get the worst phone call you could ever get. He had a skateboarding accident, hit his head. He was in intensive care for 8 days in Austin. I have a hard time even telling you guys the story. We were able to go down there because of this, was already up paying us very nice income, covering all of our bills. My wife and I sat bedside by him. Every time he opened his eyes, we were right there for 8 days straight. Never thought about job, never thought about money, never thought about time. We were right there all because I made the decision to go do this so I'd never have to experience pain again. I'm going to speak for Jeff Morrell real quick. Jeff Morrell tells his story from time to time. He came down with prostate cancer, and for 6 months, he and his wife didn't work. Praise God, he had money coming in that was covering his house payment expenses, and he didn't have to relax, and he could take care of himself and get himself back to health. You have no idea, any one of us on this webinar, if something, God forbid, were to happen to you and you couldn't continue to work, what would happen to your life? I don't know. Some of you may be all set. I can tell you most of you probably may have 3 to 6 months worth of being able to pay bills, and then it would be a tough situation. So here's what I've learned in my 3.5 years with EXP, and I've been to about a dozen revenue share trainings with the best attractors in EXP. I'm going to go through a couple numbers with you real quick. These are very realistic expectations. When you sponsor 10 frontline qualified agents to begin with, because you really need that many for the 80-20 rule to take effect, I'm sure you've all have heard of the 80-20, you could put in 5 agents and maybe have one start to really attract. But if you'll go put in 10, I can almost assure you 2 of those are going to start to sponsor agents. I'm going to walk you through some numbers, and I hope this increases your why and gives you belief to what this could do. And I've learned this again because of all the seminars I've gone to, and I've heard everybody's testimonies, and I've seen the real numbers. You put in 10 frontline qualified agents on board, and they're on board for at least 12 to 18 months. That should generate you approximately $4,000 to $6,000 a month, which is about $48,000 to $72,000 a year in passive income. Within 2 to 3 years of you maintaining at least 10 frontline qualified agents, your passive income should double to 8 to 12,000 a month. You get 15 frontline qualified agents on board for at least 12 to 18 months, should generate approximately 6 to 10K a month, which is 72 to 120,000 a year in passive. Maintain those 15 for 2 to 3 years, you should jump up to about 120. What did I double that? Yeah, 12 to 20K a month. Let me jump to 20. I want the big dream machines to come on right now. 20 frontline qualified agents on board for 12 to 18 months should generate approximately 10 to 20,000 a month, which is 120 to 240K a year in passive income. You keep those same 20 frontline agents, or keep at least 20 frontline qualified for 2 to 3 years, and you maintain that, well, you'll be at 20 to 40K a month with just 20. These are very conservative because I'm much higher than that, and I've only got 20 right now. Let me just go one more here. 25 frontline qualified agents on board for 12 to 18 months should generate about 20 to 40K a month, which is 240 to $500,000 a year. They stay like that for 2 to 3 years, or 25 frontline. You're talking 40 to 80K a month, or 480 to 960K a year. For those that have hit 40, every one of them are well over $1 million a year. Some are starting to close in on now $500,000 to $1 million a month. My sponsor, Rob Flick, if you've never heard this, if you're sitting down, is well over $750,000 a month. That's hard for any of us to even fathom, but these numbers are very real. So I'm just going to go right back to 10 frontline agents. If we do it this year, and they're on board with this for 12 to 18 months, you should look up next year, somewhere in the middle of that year, making 4,000 to 6,000 a month in passive. Maintain it, that will double within 2 to 3 years. Guys, I can't express enough that if all you really did was made this part of your schedule, and if that schedule is 30 minutes a day for you to make 2 to 3 phone calls or 2 to 3 contacts, and then maybe an hour or 2 for Zoom meetings, and you plug into what we're talking about, it can only begin to grow. You just got to make the decision to stay consistent, right? 90% of your day is going to be selling real estate. We're just trying to get a little sliver, because the last thing I want any one of you guys to do is to look up 5 years from now and be going, God, I was on that webinar. They talked to me about it. I kept making excuses. Don't do that. Please let us help you. We're learning how to do this, and we're getting better at it, and we're getting better systems in place. So that is my spill there. I sincerely appreciate it. Throw it back at you, Eric.
No, great job, buddy. I'm going to piggyback on what you did say, and that's this. For people that want to build, and you talk about what kind of commitment, it could be as small as writing 2 to 4 names, 2 to 4 names, there we go, 2 to 4 names on a sheet. At the end of the night, throw the sheet away, and the next day, write 2 to 4 names on a sheet again. Or make a big list and spend a couple, as Brent Gove did, spend 3, 4, 5 hours on a Friday and make all of your calls setting up the following week, and then go back to real estate Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You're all spending about an hour with us tonight. I'm assuming you're taking this away from something else you would have normally done on a Monday. There's 125 people here with us tonight, which means there's 41,000 other EXP agents that are not with us right now. They're not going to move their rev share ahead. You are. When you invest time in something that you need to invest time in, you move down the path. And when you don't invest time in what you need to invest time in, then you don't move down the path. And what Sean said makes sense. You get frustrated. The longer you get from January 1st, if you think, I want to do some rev share, the further away you get from starting, the harder it will be to start. It's easier on the 4th than it will be on the 14th. And it's easier on the 14th of January than it will be on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February. It will never be easier for you than today. And it will never be more profitable for you because of compounding interest than sponsoring people this month rather than waiting a year to do it. We don't know how long this opportunity is going to remain this wonderful, but I know we got 30,000+ coming in over the next year, and I don't know how many of those will be yours, but some can be. NAR says 1 out of 3 agents on any given day are open to look at other brokerages. They're not saying mine's horrible, but 1 out of 3 are asking this question: Am I in the best one? Should I be looking? And if you call an agent on the day they're thinking that, guess what happens? Presentation. So let's run those numbers again. 2 calls a day. Doesn't take a half hour. What do I say? We can cover that another time. What about if I get a voicemail? What do I leave? We'll cover that another time. Should I text them? We'll cover that another time. Facebook, LinkedIn, we'll cover that another time. What I want you to understand is 2 calls a day is 10 calls a week, is 500 calls a year. And like Sean said, if 1 out of 5 look and 1 out of 4 or 5 get in, you will have enough in your group. If you're just like everyone else in the company, in other words, you're average, if you will go do what we're talking about, you will set yourself up for a 6-figure income by year number 2. So don't worry about if it works. Remember, NAR says 1 out of 3 are looking at any given day. Our message is too good to be ignored. Once people see it, they can't unsee it. And now you know the 4 steps are: make a list, invite them, show it to them, and have someone answer their questions, and then drip and drip and drip.
And
Moving on to
Eric, if I may add just 20
Please.
seconds here. When we keep saying the 1 out of 3, I just want to make sure you guys all understand this part. Those other 2 out of 3, there's a famous saying, they don't know what they don't know. Out of all the agents that I've attracted, I can tell you right now, at least half of them were not looking at all. They were happy with where they were at. But skill set from constantly being around these guys and learning verbiage, I was able to plant just enough seeds and do just enough to have them go, okay, you know what, I'll take a look. I really don't understand the model exactly. All right. And they got in, and guess what? Some of those are the biggest producers I have, and they were not looking at all. I can throw it up to Jeff Burrell. Jeff was not looking when I contacted Jeff. Kathy Carter was not looking when I spoke to Kathy. But yet they're 2 of the biggest producers I have in my entire team of well over 1,000 people, guys. So I just want to make sure you understand. You can make 3 calls and you start to get good, and you'll start to set up 3 out of 4 calls like Morel does right now, and Tim and Kathy. So I just want to throw that out. Thank you.
So the next speaker coming on board is one of my favorite topics, actually. And the reason it's one of my favorite topics is because I believe the biggest reason people don't build is not that they don't start, but they get thrown out of the car. They get thrown out of the roller coaster ride, because it is an emotional roller coaster. But I want to start with this as Kathy comes on and speaks. I want you to understand that you really do have to make a decision if you're going to do something new, especially something you've never done before that you don't exactly know what to say or do. You've got to back up and say, teach me. And that's not easy to do. Most of us have been driving our own vehicle for so long, we don't ask for help. We don't even know how to ask for help. And when we do ask, we don't really know how to take it in. But I want you to understand, this is where you got to sort of take the ego of who you are in transactions and lay it aside and go, okay, I'm a beast over here, but I don't know how to sponsor people. I don't know how to attract people. I don't really know what the conversation is to have and how to have it so that I don't come across the wrong way. And if you're brand new, you probably don't have a clue what to say. And that's what we're here for both sets of you. But you have to go in with an understanding that you're either going to be pitiful or powerful, but you can't be both. Even at the beginning, when you start talking to people, you may think you're pitiful in the way you're doing it, but if you're powerful in moving ahead through it, then you'll get through the pitiful stage very quickly, probably 3 to 4 phone calls, believe it or not, and you'll be on the road. Again, we don't want you thrown out of the roller coaster. So Kathy, come in, take over.
All right. Hey guys, Happy New Year. So, so what I'll start with, well, first of all, Sean, those numbers that you broke down at the end were awesome. So who on here is not ready to go out at least get 10 frontline qualified people? You know, when you hear those numbers of 4,000 to 6,000 on average, and I can say that, you know, all the numbers that he spoke there at the end, all are, you know, very true in my organization as well, and in our income. And so, you know, I think what I'll start with to right now is just about talking about this emotional roller coaster. And for me, some of y'all know, actually a lot of you probably don't know, but you know, I feel like we all go on this personally on this emotional roller coaster, right? You know, in our real estate business, sometimes it's there and the fears that go along with, you know, making cold calls, if you will, to for sale by owners expires. Same on the recruiting side of things. But, you know, about 6 months ago in July, my husband, talking about these unexpected things that Sean had mentioned, my husband had a quadruple bypass, and that was not planned, that we didn't even know that was happening. We found out one day, about 10 days later, he's having this surgery. But what I can tell you, because I've been a part of EXP for 3.5 years, because I spent some time building the rev share piece, in addition to doing my real estate, you know, for about 2 months, I was pretty much unplugged, completely unplugged from everything. And the beautiful part was, because we're in this real estate business where we always had to be thinking ahead, we always had to be planting the seeds in our real estate, you know, for, you know, what we do today, we're going to get paid on likely in 60 or 90 days, right? And so because of this rev share, for those 2 months, we were paid on over 650 transactions. And so what that allowed, in addition to all the stress that we were going through with the surgery and the recovery and everything that goes along with that, we didn't have the financial stress. And, you know, so many agents have that financial stress and the roller coaster, you know, not even an emotional roller coaster, but the financial roller coaster, because we're, you know, 100% commissioned. And so it's worth spending your time on. I just want to start with that. And so, you know, what I thought I would do today is just share about 5 points, maybe to help you mentally and emotionally to keep yourself off of that emotional roller coaster, and to get out of your head, and to, you know, help you stay out of your head for those things that hold us back. And so just a few things that I want to share. Like I said, there's going to be 5 that help me in the days that I'm on that emotional roller coaster. And if any of you follow Tony Robbins, the first thing that I'll say is you got to change your state. You know, and again, if you follow Tony Robbins, you hear him say that all the time. And so if you are, you know, physiologically, you know, down and out and don't feel like it, I mean, how many times do we not feel like doing something? Like, how many times we feel like not going to the gym, not to do the things that we know we need or want to do? And so a couple of ways that I do that for myself is, there's a couple of videos. I'm going to post them later tonight or in the morning, that I'll post in the workplace group, the Leaders in Real Estate. There's a couple of videos. They're short videos, or 5-6 minute videos, that can really help you in your mindset and your thinking. Another thing that helps me is turn on some good music or a great song right before you sit down and start making some calls. Just again, change your whole state of being and automatically elevate your emotional being at the time. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is to create some affirmations. Whatever you want to affirm in yourself where it comes to your rev share, create, you know, 3, 4, 5, 10 of those. Take a picture of them, have them on your phone, read them multiple times a day. Like, you know, for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, just read your affirmations. And again, your brain just starts feeling that. It takes the emotional state, you know, of maybe feeling like I don't want to do it. That will start, again, changing in you. And this has already been talked about, but just number 3 is keep showing up each week to all of the trainings. We're talking specifically about RevShare tonight. So Jeff went over when you can plug into those, and that's what I'll say. You've got to keep showing up. All of us, you know, that are speaking tonight, every one of us, we go to a lot of these RevShare trainings. We go to every event that is going on by EXP or Brent Gove. He does, you know, he's doing a big event. Well, I don't know if he's still doing it, but one was planned for Cabo in February. He's doing another one in the summer if that doesn't end up getting canceled. We plug into those things because it's about being around the campfire. And the more you're around the campfire and the more you're hearing stories and the more that you're seeing people succeed, you know, the more inspired you get. And you're like, holy moly, if they can do it, I can do it. If, you know, the ones of us that already talked, if we can do it, any one of y'all can do it, right? It's not about, can you do it? It's if you're gonna do it. So that's number 3. And then number 4, Sean talked about this, so I'm not gonna delve too much into it, but knowing why you really wanna do this. Why do you wanna spend some time here? And I would really spend some time thinking through that and asking yourselves those questions, but not to be tied to the outcome. Don't be tied to the outcome of the phone call. Just be tied to the activity of the phone call. Okay. So regardless of the outcome, just celebrate the call. But again, understanding why are you even going to be putting yourself, in a position, what makes you want to do that? More than money. It has to be more than just money, because money is only a temporary motivator, in my opinion. And so it has to be beyond that. Like, what does that do for you? Maybe you can relate to the story or two that Sean shared. Maybe you can relate to, what I shared just about my husband, and had a time in your life where you wish you had some financial freedom through passive income because your life hit you unexpectedly. And not only did you have the unexpected stress of that, you had the unexpected, the financial pressures that go along with it. And number 5, which I'm going to say is the biggest, and again, it's already been talked about, but it's the biggest, is you got to be in consistent action. And so being vulnerable for myself, I will say, because I was out of consistent action for a period of time, really for a while, like probably from the time Steve's surgery was through about 3 or 4 months, because once I got back into the game, real estate, y'all, a lot of y'all experienced that, just got crazy. And so September, October, I was very busy in real estate. I wasn't time blocking. I wasn't doing some of the things that we teach and talk about myself. And then guess what happened? This whole emotional roller coaster for me. It's like once you're out of consistent activity, it's like starting all over from day one. And so some of these things that I've shared with you guys today, like these 5 tips, that's what I had to do to start moving myself back into action. But just like Eric said right before, I came on, it doesn't take much, guys. If you do 3 or 4 calls a day for 2 or 3 days in a row, I promise you the fears, the anxiety of making those calls, because we all have them. It doesn't matter if you have big organizations or if you're a brand spanking new agent, we all have these same fears. It doesn't matter, but it doesn't take a lot. That's what's the beautiful part about it. It doesn't take a lot of those calls. Okay. And so you have to be in consistent action. And it doesn't matter if it's 2 or 3 calls a day. If you do it every day, the emotional roller coaster of it will get less and less. Okay, and just a couple of closing thoughts that I just want to say is, everybody, if you follow anybody successful in any business, not just real estate or not just in rev share, we all know this success loves speed. Brent Gove talks about this. And so again, it's like you got to make it part of your daily activity. If this is something that you really want to gain, you've got to make it part of your daily activity. And I read a quote the other day from Dave Ramsey. I was like, that's good. I like it. And y'all, those who really know me know I'm a Dave Ramsey fan for the most part. But anyway, he said, goals are dreams with work boots on. So do you have your work boots on? You can't have goals. We're in 2021. We all have big goals for our business, whatever it is, real estate, rev share, all of that. So, do you have your work boots on? Are you working? Are you moving forward, right? Are you doing the things that you want? And then the last thing, I just read this today, kind of again ties into what Eric said, and we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so it's kind of funny. I read this today from somebody who posts a lot of, he's here locally in Nashville, but he said the thought of change is more attractive than the process of change. To move from where you are to where we want to go requires new habits, discipline, and sacrifice. So there's a cost to change, and each person has to determine if the price that they must pay is worth the reward that they will receive. So that says a lot just in that quote. And so what I can tell you is the cost of change and the cost of the discipline and the sacrifice in working towards revenue share is worth the reward. And so I'm going to just leave you with that. I encourage you guys to just make this part of your daily plan and activity.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. I'll echo what you said. Besides thanking you, I want to make the comment, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. We're okay if you don't want to do any revenue share in 2021, if you don't want to attract agents. But what we want you to hear tonight is we've got a strategy for you. We want you to know that out of 40,000 people, there's hundreds of people plugging into the strategies we're talking about, and you can too if you choose to. I want to say one last thing, then bring in our final speaker, and then we've got some good closing thoughts. But I want you to hear this. Both Sean and Kathy talked about family situations where it was a problem for them and a dire circumstance, and they were thankful that they had drilled the well before they needed the water. I'm going to tell you right up front, I'm going to knock on wood as I'm doing it. Wood floors, I love it. I have not had those unfortunate things happen for the most part in my life. So guess what I've been able to do? Enjoy the money. See, one of the things people don't talk about enough of, and you guys need to hear this, is unless you're going through a calamity in your life where you thank God that you have the money coming in, if you're not going through that craziness, then you get to spend the money. Because if you spend it all, guess what happens? The following month, it all comes back. That's the beauty of residual income. With that, let me share my screen 1 second the last time. Let me introduce my last speaker before we begin to close. 1 second. With that said, we're going to move to, from current slide, ta-da, Mr. Tim Hollenden from Kentucky. He's going to talk about making attraction a part of his business plan. Of course, Rob Flick originally had told us that from the beginning, but Tim's real big about something called a BHAG. I do know, Tim, that there's a number of people on this Zoom tonight that have no idea what a BHAG is. I'm sure you'll introduce that at some point. Timmy, you still there?
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Got too many screens in front of me. Had to surf over to the right one. Happy New Year, everyone. Appreciate everybody being on the call tonight. And a special thanks to all the people in my organization. I see lots of you there, and it just means the world to me that you cared enough to be on the call tonight. And I'm excited to help you grow. I'm excited to bless you with what I've been blessed with and keep pouring into you as we do on a regular basis. I too have a story. I'm not going to get into it because I know we're running short on time, but the bottom line is at 49 years old, I was in the hospital. 2 days later, I had quadruple bypass surgery. And I can remember thinking at that point in time that I was going to die because I was in the shape of my life. I had no heart disease. I had no high blood pressure, no cholesterol, never smoked, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I was convinced it was my time. It wasn't, thank the good Lord. But I can remember what that felt like. And while I didn't have any real financial hardship from that, because I've run a successful real estate team for a lot of years and they kept every bit of the business going forward. I can remember that thinking, when I die, I'm not in the position that I had hoped I would be when I pass in terms of what I leave to my family. And today I am because of eXp Realty. I have been an independent broker. I've owned a RE/MAX franchise. I sold it all, worked out my no compete, and I too was not looking when I got the call. I've been asked to talk about making agent attraction part of your day-to-day business plan. And it's kind of hard to do after all the amazing speakers that came before me tonight. I don't know why Eric put me last, but let's talk about that. My first plea is start tomorrow morning, or better yet, start tonight. Start on your list. I did not do that, and it's my biggest regret at eXp so far. I've got an organization of only 160. Some of you say, only 160? That's nothing compared to some of the other people on the call and some of the people I've learned from for the 2.5 years. I should have started immediately. And if I had, my group would be well over 320, because I firmly believe it does double. I have proof of it. It doubles every year, doubles every 12 months, the size of your network. So start right away. And back to Eric's, one of his first points, make that list of 100. I made a list of 10. I made 10 phone calls. I failed on all of them. So I stopped for my first full year. Had a few people I was blessed that called me that said, hey, I saw you moved to EXP. Would you mind telling me about it? They joined. But start now. Treat this like your business. You prospect sellers, you prospect buyers. They pay you once. Maybe they'll pay you in 3, 5, 7 years again. So prospect sellers, prospect buyers, prospect agents. Everybody's told you tonight, it doesn't have to be many. It can be one a day. Do something, but do it every day. Do it consistently, because you do get out of practice. I do, like everybody has said that spoke before me. The simple fact of this is, and I'm going to show you a couple of props that I use here in a few minutes, but the simple thing is you just need to time block it. Those of you that have been in coaching programs and all that, you're sick and tired of hearing it, but that's what works. Block the time, make the calls, don't allow any interruptions whatsoever, unless it's a family member that's dying or bleeding. That's the only exceptions. Everything else can wait. Someone mentioned quantity of calls and quality of conversations. I have done this long enough now that I know if I call 10 people, 6 people will say yes to a presentation, and 2 to 3 of them will join. I didn't start out that way 2.5 years ago. Remember, I fell on my face for my first 10 calls because I didn't have enough. That was my point on the 10 a minute ago. If my list were 100 and I said, okay, I'm not quitting until I call 100, I would have been successful in the first year, but I stopped. Get yourself in the mindset that you're not selling anything. You're potentially changing an agent's life. And start tracking your numbers. I'm going to show you 2 things. It's going to take me just a second here to get the right screens put up here. This is just putting my money where my mouth is kind of thing. This is my calendar for this week. Everybody seeing that?
Yes.
That's this week. I get up at 5:30. I'm in the office getting things done. And by the way, I made the conscious decision 14 months ago. I told my real estate team I'm not going to sell real estate for the rest of 2019, all of the fourth quarter, to see what I can do, because this agent attraction thing is really intriguing me, and I'm really gaining some traction, because at that time I was spending about an hour a day on it. At the end of the fourth quarter 2019, I had 6 commitments that were coming. They hadn't come yet. So I told my team again, I said, I'm going to do this for another 90 days. I've got a lot of traction. All the business I would have used to have done myself personally, I'm giving to you all, and we'll split that up like we do on our team splits. Well, I never sold another piece of real estate. I lie. I had 1.5 transactions personally in 2020. But this is my calendar: Zoom call, Zoom call, Zoom call, Zoom call, introductory call, etc. The thing I really want you to see here, though, is this: prospecting, 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 prospecting. Go to next week, prospecting. This is our Florida event. I'm not prospecting those days. And I made it a vacation. Very next day, prospecting. You will see 9 to 10 every day for the rest of the year prospecting in my calendar. And if something has to happen at 9, I immediately just click it and I drag it somewhere else and I change only that event. But I block that time, and I don't concern myself with how many calls am I going to make. That's not my goal. My goal is how many conversations am I going to have per day on an outbound telemarketing sort of basis, if you will. My goal is I want 4 conversations per day. That's 88 conversations a month. That's 60 some odd, 50 to 60. Some months I'm only batting 500, 50%. But when you have 88 conversations, brand new conversations with agents, and 50 to 60% of them will see a presentation, A very large percentage of those come. So to my BHAG, what is a BHAG? A BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. My BHAG for 2021 is to add, not be at, but add 72 level 1 agents to my RevShare group. And all 125 of you are now my accountability partners to make certain that I do that. Do that. Get an accountability partner. Call me. Tell me what your goal is. I've had people write me checks to their non-party affiliation. If they were Republican, I said, write me a check, Democratic Convention, $1,000. If you don't accomplish what you tell me you want me to hold you accountable to accomplishing, I'm going to mail it. Think that makes you do something? That can be making it a part of your day. Another thing I want to share with you is the importance of tracking your numbers. When I say if I have 88 conversations, I know that 44 to 66 of them are going to see a presentation, and I know half of them are going to at least look seriously at it, and a good number of them join. I've got all the stats actually written down, and I built my BHAG and my plan that I'm about to share with you, and based on that number. And if you track your numbers every month, you will see that, okay, in the months that I did this, I got this in return. The months I only did that, I only got this. So what I did is I built this Excel sheet, and I took it to FedEx Kinko's, and I had it printed on poster board. We seeing that okay? Can you see that, Sean?
Yep.
Thank you. Now you'll plug in how many X level 1s and Y FLQAs by 12/31 to 2021. I will share this on Workplace so you can all steal it. It's already filled out every month of the year. The red are the holidays, the gray are the weekend days for every month of the year. I track here different things. Outbound phone calls, you'll see 88 per month on mine because mine says 102 level 1s and 72 FLQAs by December 31. Something like that. And this should hang on your wall. You put a tick mark every time you accomplish something and total it every month. So these are just different sources. These are different things that I do to attract agents. And over the next 6 weeks on Monday nights at 8 Eastern, we're going to teach very specifically those 6 things. And we're going to do role playing on each of those 6 things. But I'm only tracking 3 of them that I know work for me. I'm going to total them. How many in the month led to how many conversations, how many total conversations led to how many presentations. This is my drip, 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 drip. It's an application called Reach where you can text hundreds and thousands of people at the same time and personalize the text message. Hey, John, it's Tim. Thought you might find this short video of interest. So I'm tracking my touches in this. I'm also tracking touches out to my team because once you get an agent here, you need to stay in contact with them and make them feel loved. Make sure they're plugged in. So I track that as well because retention is even more important than attraction. And lastly, how many joined? What's that give me as a total on my level 1s? And how many total frontline qualifying agents does that mean? So that's all I had to share. I would encourage everybody to start now, create your own BHAG, track your numbers, and time block. You've heard it on and on and on. Just start doing it and it will happen. You get more and more comfortable, and we teach all the details on what to say, how to say it, what not to say, who to talk to, and so forth on this call regularly. But thanks for everyone's attention again, and I'll turn it back to you to wrap it up, Mr. Eric.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's always nice to have someone like yourself there to show the people that want to be fully organized how to be fully organized. Now, with that said, I'm going to say that you need to be somewhat organized if you're going to make this side happen, but you don't need full organization to get started. What you need is a list and a contacting phrase and a presentation to direct them to. We will take care of the rest. We will handle each of these every Monday. Tim, thanks so much. Again, I'm going to reiterate his goal because he's okay with it being public. By the end of this year, in other words, 12 months from now, 102 frontline agents, of which 72 are actively selling real estate, and the other 30 can't figure out what they're doing at EXP. So with that said, I'm guessing your goal is somewhere between where you are right now and Tim's 102. Here's the good news. You get our help to get there. And here's the better news. You have between now and the rest of your life. The question I'm going to ask you as I get goosebumps talking about this, as I begin to close, don't jump off. I got one more slide that you're going to want to see. But one of the things I'm going to say is this. If you believe that you can attract another agent, then every day you don't is a day that you live without the money. You live without the residual. You live without the freedom. You know, we know notoriously well that agents, real estate agents, don't pay our taxes perfectly on time. And most of us haven't saved enough money for retirement, which is why we, break a hip going upstairs at 75 years old. The bottom line is EXP, Glenn Sanford, thank you, has given us an opportunity to set ourselves up for the future by just doing what we do right in the present. So I want to remind everybody something Tim ended with, and then I'll go to the last two slides and we'll be done. I want everybody to hear this because I think it's really, really, really important. Tim is tracking his activity, and that activity is the lead in what he does. All the numbers filter down from that lead. Tim's not concerned over how to get to 102. He's not concerned how many join each week. He's concerned of his level activity, controlling the one thing that everyone on this call can control, and that's what you do with your time. You have control over two things when it comes to recruiting or attracting. How many people you talk to and who you talk to. So let me set the low bar for everyone. I would say a minimum of 2 or 3 reach outs a day. 2 or 3 reach outs, just picking up the phone, reaching out to 2 or 3 agents that in some way you're connected to. Again, if you don't know, you don't have a big number of agents, we'll help you. You don't know what to say, we'll help you. But lock into your brain 1 hour later this concept. I can make 2 or 3 calls first thing in the morning while I got my cup of coffee or easily before lunch. And if you do that, you are in control of the one thing you need to be in control of, and it's the only thing you should be in control of, yourself. If you show this to enough people, the message is too good, 1 out of 3 are always looking, you're going to sponsor agents. So let me give you the other number you should be looking for. If you're going to start calling agents, I recommend you call agents. If you have the choice, call agents that sell real estate for a living. It's easier if you talk to people that do it full time. Even if they do small volume, they look at the industry differently than if it's a part-time thing or an eventual thing for them. I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to new agents, and I'm not saying that new agents can't build our business. What I am saying is if you're going to go sponsor somebody, let's go sponsor a Kathy Carter. Let's go sponsor a Tim Hollenden. Let's go sponsor a Jeff Morrell. Let's go sponsor people that understand the difference EXP presents to everyone else. With that said, let me close out with this tonight. We are going to address the questions that are in the chat box. So if you have questions, I'm going to stick around to make sure everybody's questions are answered in the chat box. I want to remind you, this is not the normal format. The normal format is a complete Q&A with role playing and everything. You're going to love it. Tonight was just to get your feet wet and to understand this really isn't that difficult and shouldn't be that forum. And the learning curve is about 5 phone calls. Because it isn't what you're saying, it's the excitement that you understand. The minute you take a step towards freedom, you're in Freedom Highway. You actually feel better the moment you make the step, the moment you get out of your comfort zone, because you're separating yourself from the person you used to be. So let me share my screen and end with this. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. If you can't learn to block out 5 minutes a day, then the idea of you getting freedom from RevShare this year is not fair for you to believe. Here's what is fair. If you're willing to make 1, 2, 3 calls a day, most days a week, we are there completely here to help you do that. If you'll do the work, we will make sure you win. But you've got to decide to do the work. The good news for most of us is we have enough people in our group, we can work with anyone that raises their hand. What we're waiting for is not people to raise their hand, but people to pick up the phone. And the minute you're ready to pick up the phone, we can help you. So let me give you a glimpse into the future, because I think you're going to want to know. This is what we're going to be covering over the next 6 or 7 weeks. Next week, we're going to cover how do you have conversations with people you're in the process of doing a sale with. The week after that, what do you do? How do you call all the agents you've ever done a sale with? The next one, how do you reach out? How do you have conversations with local agents you know? And then how do you have conversations with agents outside of your local market? We're going to then talk about how to add agents to your prospect list through referrals and other networking type events. We're going to have a class on conversations with social media contacts like Facebook and LinkedIn. We're going to talk about adjusting the conversation based on their volume. And the last thing, and we do this every week, by the way, is we handle objections, and we do it in a role-playing fashion. If you want an intense workshop on all of this, we right now have 6 tickets left for the event we have in Fort Lauderdale on January 15th and 16th. It's a half-a-day Friday, not this Friday, but next week. And then it's a full day on Saturday. It's unbelievably inexpensive, and flights are still super cheap. We are COVID compliant, which is why we can only have about 75 to 80 people in the ballroom. Understand, we're going to have a huge ballroom, just a handful of us, but we have 6 tickets left. If you want to know more about that, put that in the chat box. I'll give you some more detail, and I'll tell you how you can get a ticket, how you can lock in your hotel as well. Here's what I'll leave you with regard to that event. If you can get there and you're comfortable flying, get there. And if you don't think you should come, don't. But if you do think you should come, don't miss it. I'm going to leave you with a thought. It's something I heard 17 years ago. I've not said it in an EXP experience. It's the first time I've ever said this in this forum. It may not be the last time, but I don't say it this often. You don't pay the price for success. You pay the price for failure. When you invest time into RevShare, you're not paying a price. You're investing into a future. And once you realize that every step due to freedom, every step in that direction gives you more energy to take another step, it's completely different than thinking I'm spending, it's costing me. Everything I do on a daily basis is based on this premise. How can I enjoy my life better? And generally the answer to that is going through some sort of uncomfortable to get to where I want to go. Don't fight the uncomfortable. Lock arms with people that are already doing it. Lock arms with people that are already winning, and use our experience so you don't have to fail as often. We truly appreciate you spending the hour with us tonight. We ask you make a commitment to yourself to come back one more time. Now that you have a feel for the kind of people we are, hopefully you feel our heart. I think you see our work ethic. I want you to know that we're in it for you. Each of the 5 of us that spoke tonight, we're already well on our way. We're already, most of us, making more money by far than what we spend on a monthly basis already. Now it's just fun to add double digits, triple digits, and zeros. So we will help you. That's the way we succeed, by helping you. So we're looking for you to raise your hand, open your mouth. Okay, Matt Jerome, I see you. And move your legs. I'll stick around for the rest of the evening. If you want to ask questions, I'll stick around beyond normal. I thank you for being here. And on behalf of the whole team, Let's make 2021 the year you believe it can be, and then some. Have a great year, ladies and gentlemen. You can unmute. There's questions. Ask. If you want to text them, put them in.
Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.